This is Stars and Scopes with your friend Uma, updated every new and full moon with guidance based on planetary transits in the current sky and extra support from tarot. For accuracy, take a look at your rising sign first if you know it, and do feel free to listen to your sun, moon and rising if you'd like the full picture. If you're interested in your birth chart, check out the readings page at umaruby.com. And if you'd like to support the work, head over to buymeacoffee.com/umaruby and you can buy me a coffee. Finally, if you're a visual learner, look up Uma Ruby Tarot on YouTube and you can watch and learn. Okay, let's take a look. Hello Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. Welcome to your horoscope for the full moon in Aries, happening on Monday the 10th of October at 7:55 a.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. So the night before, on Sunday night, will be the perfect time to ritualize and to cast your full moon spells and to release and to extinguish, let go of whatever it is that is not serving you anymore, that you need to get off your back. This has got a lot to do with your self-expression, Sagittarius. There's a creative activation that I can really sense is about ready to set free. You've been working on a project, or you've been harboring some sense of idea that either needs to be expressed and to be started, or you're at that point in the project where you're about ready to hit publish and it's time to let it out and to let it move forward. You've done a lot of work. You've done a great deal of work, and I can see that I have this offer here, this beautiful offer from Spirit, which is an emotional reconnection. It's an emotional cup. There's some water that can flow from this beginning, from this creative project, maybe this artwork, maybe this idea that you've had, and it's taken you a little while to consolidate. And also there's been someone in your vibe that has been fairly firm with their ideas and their sort of like their perception of your talents and your skills. There's a truth here that I can feel that you've been given recently, and that the messages, the information that's been shared and exchanged and given with a firm hand, but with also a lot of empathy, a lot of emotional guidance, is having you exist and realize this space of it's like a flow. I've got Temperance here, which is Sagittarius energy full on. It's the major secret for Sagittarius. It's that magic, that alchemization of doing both, of finding the beauty in disparate elements. So if that's fire and water, that's passion and emotion, and allowing space for both of those things and alchemizing them, mixing them together. It's not an easy feat to do so. If you think about fire and water, they're not that easy to mix, are they? But with magic we can. With magic we can have them both working on their highest potential, and we can create beautiful things, beautiful moments when both elements are honored and respected and allowed their space of importance to mix them together. Creative expression is so important to you, Sagittarius. The way that you sort of assert yourself in the world, the way that you see things, the way that you respond to beauty and that you respond to pain, also has a great beauty there's something about the connector points that you are very, very good at, very specifically tuned to see and receive. And it's in that sort of Aries energy, that sort of forward warrior space, you can't help but express yourself. And I think that that's something to be really celebrated here at an Aries full moon, Sag, is that part of you, is that you actually can't help but express yourself. And sometimes it comes off beautifully without a hitch. Sometimes it's really clunky and really dangerous. But there's a fine line there, and there's a rope that you are learning to tread. There's a tightrope that you're learning to walk across in your self-expression, and to really kind of own that part of yourself, and to really realize that it's, without it, you would combust. You've got to express yourself. You've got to translate the world as you see it for others to bear witness to and to recognize. We need you, Sag, to be confident and to be active, and to be a bit of a warrior too, to be a bit of a fire starter in the way that you express yourself. Temperance is here to remind us that we can do both, and that not every fire needs to bring with it destruction. Sometimes, when mixed appropriately with magic, with our water, with an emotional integrity, an emotional connection, then great things can happen, great magic can happen on this planet. I see you at the precipice of a great celebration. I reckon that soon enough, Sag, you're going to be really celebrated for all that you bring to this existence, to this life. I see that your input is going, and look at it this way, I think that I would, if I were you, I'd use this Aries full moon as freaking victory march. It's been such trying times on so many different levels, but you've committed yourself to the active expression. You've committed yourself to sharing from that through that creative lens. From the fifth always reminds me of the importance of an ego, you know, like it's like, as much as that can be bandied around as a dirty word, and as much as that can be sort of used against other folks for being too in their ego, and too, you know, blinkers are probably not a very good thing, to be sort of only, your vantage point can only be seen. That's probably an ego in shadow if you can't empathize, if you can't see the other perspective. But I see here that that's kind of in a lot of ways what your expression is the other perspective. You create in order to honor and recognize the expression of others. I see that quite clearly here for you, Sag, and it's really lovely. And that fire, or that sort of urge that you have to rectify a relationship, to, if there's been, maybe there's been conflict in the relationships that you hold dear to yourself, maybe there's been a kind of urgency with wanting the other to see your expression, to see from your perspective. At this full moon, that urge is in a really gentle, loving relationship with your community. And there's a boundary that you can express. The way that you kind of express yourself, the way that you share information, or the way that you express yourself through words. Maybe, okay, so there's a difference here between the sort of like the physical body activation of expression, the creative, moving, artful expression, but also there's the way that you're actually saying it, the way that you're communicating information. There's a boundary that can be really put to good use at this lunation too. There's a really nice kind of dance that I can see happening here, and it's got, that this temperance is coming out again. It's sort of like, this is what I feel, this is what I've been going through, this is how I see the world, this is my perception of it, this is my perception of humanity and the relationship between, this is what I can see and what I'm trying to get out. You're in great relationship because Saturn is in your third house of communication, quite literally. So there's a boundary that you can protect yourself with here as you move forward with presenting that self-expression. You don't have to change yourself in any way, Sag, and I think that that's probably another thing to remind yourself at this full moon in Aries, is that your way of doing things is just as valid as everybody else's, and it has a different color. It has a different brush stroke than everybody else's, but that's what the birth chart is for. It's to decipher and to see between the lines, or to see the harmony between the lines, to see the commonality that we all have in such a multitude of different shades. So as it stands, I think that this full moon would be such a great time for you to express and to shout it out. Mercury is gestation direct as well. So I remember the last lunation we were talking about that we were going over the information that was being offered to us. We were going over some of the mercurial parts of life. Remember, Mercury is the messenger from the gods to us. So there was definitely like a second draft that had to be written. But Mercury is direct now at this full moon. So I would take that as an invitation to move ahead and to begin that expression, begin or complete. Everything's a cycle, but I really see that whatever's happening here, if it's putting pen to paper finally, then effing gorgeous. Do it. If it's, I'm at the very end of this project that's taken my whole life for so long, and I'm about to put it forward, all of this work, then sit back and celebrate that. Celebrate it. This is a fire moon. You're a fire sign, Sag. Go with the passion. Go with that inspiration, that magic. Relish in it. Never be self-conscious of it. I say never. Try not to be self-conscious of it. I know that sometimes it can feel that it puts you there and then them here. And that, there can be sort of a worry about being too much, or there can be a worry about being too forward or visible with what you are passionate about. But an Aries full moon invites us all, especially a fire sign, to be proud of their self-expression, to be proud of their vantage point and their contribution. And a fifth house full moon is an art party. So I hope that you can enjoy that. I hope that there's going to be a scenario or a circumstance where you get to celebrate yourself a little bit. Well, I think that's all I have to say. It might be worth mentioning, that this lunation, this full moon, is in a conjunction with Chiron. And we've talked about Chiron before, the wounded healer, the centaur, the one that inspired Sagittarius. In a lot of ways, Chiron is your guiding force, that wounded healer, that one that can help others, but sometimes has difficulty recognizing their own wounds. I think that if there's anything to do with your perception of your own work, that critical lens, it might be a great lunation to throw that lens in the bin for a while. Allow allow the support and the encouragement from your 11th house, from your community, allow that to help you in any moment of self-doubt. But this is a really bright, fire-driven reading, Sag. I don't know what you've been cooking up or what you're about to, but I got to say, I can't wait to see it. I'm really looking forward to hearing all about it. That's your reading. I love you very much. And remember that I'll be back in 2 weeks for the solar eclipse in Scorpio, which is, I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to read for this one, because I think that in eclipse season, it's very good for us just to put down tools and just to let it happen. Whatever crops up, whatever short-circuiting or power outage happens in our lives based on that sign. For you, it's Scorpio, so it's your 12th house, it's your unconscious, it's your dreamland, your access to spirit, the connector point, what's beyond the veil. Oh, this could be nice actually to have an eclipse there. Well, I'll see what advice I can come up with. If you'd like your birth chart read, do head over to umaruby.com and I can help you out with that. If you're a return client, I will be writing a soul guidance session soon enough. It's been asked of me quite a lot how we continue this journey together of discovery. So I'll be writing something specifically for folks that I've already read for, but I'll put that together over the next month. I love you very much, Sagittarius, and I'll speak to you in 2 weeks. Bye.